Welcome to Nightmare Fuel Stories, the signal I never wanted to take this job. The abandoned radio tower wasn't exactly my idea of an exciting career move, but after getting laid off from my engineering position at the tech firm in Seattle, options were limited. The ad was vague: maintenance technician needed, remote location, generous compensation, no experience required, but the pay was double what I'd made before, enough to clear my debts and start fresh in 6 months. When Mr. Voss called to offer me the position, his voice crackled through the phone like he was speaking from the bottom of a well. "Congratulations, Miss Harmon. We believe you're perfectly suited for this role." I'd never even had an interview. "The job is straightforward," he continued. "You'll maintain our decommissioned radio tower facility in Olympic National Forest. It's been offline for decades, but we need someone to ensure the structure remains sound and to perform basic upkeep. You'll be alone, but will provide all necessities." I should have asked more questions. Why maintain a tower that wasn't being used? Why pay so much for basic maintenance? But desperation has a way of silencing curiosity. The company, Meridian Communications, arranged everything. A company car delivered to my apartment, a detailed map to the facility, 6 months of supplies, and a satellite phone with only one number programmed in: Meridian Emergency. "Only use it if absolutely necessary," Mr. Voss had warned. "The isolation gets to some people. We need someone who can handle it." I assured him I could. I'd always been a loner anyway. The drive took nearly 4 hours, the last 90 minutes on unmarked Forest Service roads that twisted through dense pine forest. As I climbed in elevation, fog began to settle between the trees. My GPS lost signal an hour before I reached the destination, but the map was detailed enough. The radio tower appeared suddenly through the mist, a skeletal spire of rusted metal stretching 300 feet into the gray sky. At its base sat a concrete bunker-like building, weathered by decades of Pacific Northwest rain and wind. A smaller outbuilding that I assumed was my living quarters stood nearby. I parked beside the only other vehicle, an ancient maintenance truck with Meridian's faded logo on the door, and stepped out into the damp, cool air. The silence was immediate and absolute. No birds, no distant traffic. Just the occasional whisper of wind through the tower's metal framework. The key they'd provided opened the residence easily enough. Inside was basic but comfortable: a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and small living area. The electricity worked, powered by generators according to the manual left on the kitchen table. Water came from a well system. There was no internet, no cell service, and no television, just a radio and a small library of books. The manual contained my duties: check the structural integrity of the tower weekly, maintain the generators, keep a log of any unusual occurrences, and ensure the facility remained secure. Simple enough. That first night I settled in with a book, enjoying the quiet after months of stress. Around midnight I heard it for the first time, a faint, rhythmic clicking coming from the radio on the shelf. I hadn't turned it on. I approached cautiously. The power indicator light was dark, yet the speaker emitted a distinct pattern. 3 quick clicks, pause, 2 slow clicks, pause, repeat. I checked the power cord, unplugged. I removed the batteries. The clicking continued for another minute, then stopped. I convinced myself it was just the old components settling, or perhaps interference from somewhere. I went to bed and slept surprisingly well. The next morning I explored the main facility. The concrete building contained what you'd expect: old broadcasting equipment, maintenance tools, electrical systems. Everything was covered in a layer of dust, undisturbed for what looked like years. According to the building log, the last maintenance visit had been in 1997, over 20 years ago. In the main broadcast room, massive transmitters lined the walls, their displays dark and dead, except one. In the corner, partially hidden behind a newer piece of equipment, a single transmitter had a small red light glowing on its panel. I checked its connections. It wasn't plugged into anything. The power cable lay coiled on the floor, gathering dust. I made a note in the log: found transmitter unit 7 with active indicator light despite no power source. Possible battery backup still functioning. We'll investigate further. That night the clicking returned on the radio. This time I was prepared. I'd brought a small recorder from my bedroom and captured the sound. The pattern was different. 5 rapid clicks, 3 slow, 7 rapid, pause, repeat. I played it back several times before realizing it followed a pattern similar to Morse code. I'd learned the basics in a college communications class years ago, but was rusty. I found a Morse code chart in one of the facility manuals and began transcribing. The message repeated: "We see you." A chill ran through me. I told myself it had to be a coincidence, random electrical impulses that happened to form a pattern. Or maybe someone was broadcasting from nearby, though that seemed unlikely given the remoteness. The next morning, I decided to climb the tower to check the antennas. The maintenance manual included safety harness instructions, and the climb was straightforward if nerve-wracking. From the top, the view was breathtaking, miles of forest stretching to the distant Pacific Ocean, now visible with the fog cleared. The antenna array appeared intact but ancient. As I inspected the connections, I noticed something odd. One of the directional antennas was newer than the others, free of rust and pointing east instead of west like the rest. According to the equipment logs, no new antennas had been installed since 1988. When I returned to the ground, I checked the broadcast room again. The transmitter with the red light was still active. I tried disconnecting it from the antenna system, but the cables were fused with age. Instead, I covered the light with electrical tape, irrationally bothered by its glow. That night, the radio remained silent until 3:17 a.m., when I was awakened by a new sound, not clicking but a voice. Distant and distorted, it whispered through the radio speaker, "We know you covered it, we still see you." I knocked the radio to the floor in my panic. It shattered, but the voice continued for a few seconds before fading. I spent the rest of the night with the lights on, telling myself there had to be a logical explanation. In the morning, I used the satellite phone. "Meridian emergency. This is Emma Harmon at the Olympic Forest facility. I'm experiencing some unusual. Miss Harmon, is there a structural emergency or immediate threat to your safety?" The voice was clinical, detached. "No, but there's something wrong with the equipment here. One of the transmitters is active despite." "That's not an emergency, Miss Harmon. Please refer to your manual for troubleshooting procedures. Remember, this line is for emergencies only." The call ended before I could respond. I spent the day searching the facility for answers. In a storage closet, I found boxes of records dating back to the 1950s when the station was first built. According to the documents, the facility had been a government installation originally, used for atmospheric research and long-range communications testing. Meridian had acquired it in 1972. One file contained incident reports. Most were mundane equipment failures, weather damage, but one from 1983 caught my attention. A technician named Robert Gale had reported anomalous broadcast patterns and unauthorized transmissions originating from the facility. His final report simply stated, "Something is communicating through our equipment. I don't think it's human." Gale was replaced the following week. The reason listed was mental health concerns. That night, I found another radio in the main facility and brought it to my quarters. At exactly 3:17 a.m., it activated without being turned on. This time the voice was clearer. "Emma Harmon, born September 12, 1987. Parents deceased, no siblings, no significant relationships. No one will miss you, perfect." I unplugged the radio, removed the batteries, even smashed it with a hammer. The voice continued uninterrupted. "We've been waiting for someone like you, isolated, alone." "Receptive, who are you?" I demanded, feeling ridiculous talking to a destroyed radio. "We are the signal. We have always been the signal." "What do you want?" "A doorway." The voice faded and the broken radio finally went silent. I didn't sleep. Instead, I returned to the records, searching for anything that might explain what was happening. In a folder marked Classified Project Threshold, I found partial transcripts of broadcasts from the 1960s. Most were heavily redacted, but certain phrases stood out. Contact established with non-terrestrial intelligence. Signal appears to originate from redacted, but propagates through unknown means. Subjects exposed to the signal report auditory and visual hallucinations followed by. The rest was blacked out. The final page contained a handwritten note. Project terminated after Incident 17. Facility to be maintained but dormant. The doorway must remain closed. The next day, I hiked down to my car, intending to leave. I'd forfeit the money. My sanity was worth more, but the car wouldn't start. The maintenance truck was similarly dead. I was trapped, at least temporarily. When I returned to the facility, I found all the lights on in the broadcast room, though I'd left them off. The transmitter's red light glowed through the electrical tape I'd placed over it. As I watched, the tape blackened and curled away as if burned. The transmitter's display flickered to life, showing frequency numbers rapidly changing. From the speakers mounted on the wall, speakers I hadn't noticed before, came a sound like thousands of voices whispering simultaneously in languages I didn't recognize. I ran back to my quarters and barricaded the door, though I knew that wouldn't help against whatever was happening. The satellite phone showed no signal now. That night, I dreamed of the tower. In my dream, it wasn't made of metal but something organic, a massive spinal column stretching into a blood-red sky. At its top, the antennas moved like fingers, reaching, grasping at passing clouds. And from its base, voices called my name. I woke to find myself standing at the base of the real tower, my hands bloody from apparently climbing the fence that surrounded it. It was still dark, the tower silhouetted against the star-filled sky, except the stars above the tower were wrong. They moved in patterns, swirling like a slow-motion whirlpool centered on the top of the tower. I stumbled back to my quarters as dawn broke. Inside, I found the walls covered in writing, my handwriting, though I had no memory of doing it. The same phrase repeated hundreds of times. Open the doorway. I spent the day destroying the transmitter in the broadcast room, smashing it with a fire axe I found in the emergency cabinet. It fought back, electrical arcs leaped from its components, burning my arms and face. But eventually it was in pieces on the floor. The silence that followed was blissful. For a few hours I believed it was over. That night, as I tended to my burns, I heard a vehicle approaching. Headlights swept across my window, the first sign of another human in nearly 2 weeks. Relief washed over me. A black SUV parked next to my disabled car. A man in a dark suit stepped out, Mr. Voss, though I'd never seen him in person before. Somehow I recognized him instantly. I met him at the door. Thank God you're here. Something's happening with the equipment, we know, Miss Harmon. His voice was exactly as it had been on the phone, distant, hollow. You've done very well. I have, but I destroyed the transmitter. He smiled. That particular unit was just a focus point. The entire facility is the transmitter, always has been. More people emerged from the SUV, 3 men and a woman, all in similar dark suits. I don't understand, I said, though a growing part of me did. This facility was never meant to broadcast outward, Miss Harmon. It was built to receive, to listen for something specific. Something that has been trying to reach us for a very long time. They walked past me into the quarters. The woman carried a silver case, which she placed on the kitchen table and opened. Inside was a device I didn't recognize, something like a small satellite dish attached to what looked like medical equipment. What is that? I asked. The original doorway was too unstable, Mr. Voss explained, ignoring my question. We needed a biological component, a human interface. The woman prepared a syringe from the case. The signal has been preparing you, Voss continued. The dreams, the voices, all preparation. Your isolation made you perfect. No connections, no one to notice the changes. I backed toward the door. I'm leaving now. No, Voss said simply. You're not. I ran out the door into the darkness of the forest. Behind me I heard them following unhurried. They knew these woods. They knew I had nowhere to go. I found myself at the base of the tower again, as if drawn there. Looking up, I saw the stars still swirling above it, faster now. The metal framework hummed with energy I could feel in my teeth. They surrounded me, Voss and his team. Don't fight it, Emma, he said gently. You've been chosen. Few get such an opportunity. What opportunity? To be a doorway for what? Something ancient. Something that has been trying to reach us since we first sent signals into space. It found our transmissions decades ago and followed them back. It's been patient, the woman approached with the syringe. You won't die, Voss assured me. Your consciousness will simply expand. You'll be the first to truly understand them. I looked up at the tower, at the swirling void above it. In that moment I heard the voice again, not from a radio, but directly in my mind. We have waited so long, it said. So many failed attempts, but your mind is perfect. Open to us, I felt a strange calm settle over me. Perhaps it was fear pushing me past panic into acceptance. Perhaps it was something else, something the signal had already changed in me. What will happen? I asked Voss. If this works, communication, he said, understanding, evolution. And if it doesn't, his expression flickered, the first genuine emotion I'd seen from him. Then we try again with someone else. I looked at the tower once more. The metal was changing, flowing like liquid in places, the structure reshaping itself into something new. Not a tower anymore, but a monument, a shrine. I understood then. This wasn't first contact, this was worship. How many before me? I asked. 17, the woman answered, readying the needle. You'll be 18, 18 attempts, 18 failures, 18 people like me, alone and disposable. The needle pierced my skin. The liquid burned as it entered my veins. Above, the swirling stars descended, a spiral of light flowing down toward the tower, toward me. The signal spoke again. We come now. Voss and his team stepped back, their faces upturned, rapturous. The light engulfed me. I felt my consciousness expanding, just as Voss had promised, stretching beyond my body, beyond the clearing, beyond Earth itself. I saw them then, the beings behind the signal. Not aliens as humans imagine them, but something far more fundamental, entities of pure information, existing in the spaces between reality. They had been waiting, trapped between dimensions, seeking a way in, and I was to be their door. But as my mind touched theirs, I understood something they didn't know, something Voss and his Meridian cult couldn't have realized. A door opens both ways. The entities surged toward the opening I represented, eager after eons of waiting. But as they reached for me, I reached back into them, through them, learning and taking even as they tried to consume me. I screamed as knowledge flooded my mind, civilizations risen and fallen, technologies beyond human comprehension, the true nature of reality itself. My body convulsed, blood pouring from my eyes and ears. Voss shouted something. The woman rushed forward with another syringe. Too late. I wasn't their doorway anymore. I was their prison. My consciousness snapped back into my body with such force that I collapsed. The light retreated, the swirling stars scattered. The entities trapped now, contained within the vessel they had tried to use, within me. When I stood, I was no longer just Emma Harmon. Voss knew immediately. He fell to his knees. "What have you done?" I smiled, feeling the entities raging inside me, feeling their power becoming mine. "I closed the door. You were supposed to be the conduit," he whispered. "The sacrifice. I'm something else entirely now." I reached out with my new awareness and touched the tower. It responded, metal flowing like water, reshaping according to my will. The others tried to run. They didn't get far. That was 3 weeks ago. I'm still at the facility. The tower has become something new, a true antenna for what I've become. I can hear radio signals from across the planet, television broadcasts, cell phone conversations, internet traffic. All information flowing through me, feeding me, expanding me. Sometimes I hear Meridian's emergency channel. They're looking for their team. They don't understand yet what's happened, but they will. I'm sending them a signal of my own. More will come eventually. Government agencies, perhaps. Other cults like Meridian who have sensed the entities. They'll try to capture me, study me, destroy me. They'll fail, because I'm not just a doorway or a vessel anymore. I'm a broadcast tower, and what I'm transmitting is changing everyone who hears it. Subtle alterations to their perception, their thoughts, their reality. The entities wanted Earth. Instead, I'm reshaping humanity to my design, our design. The merger wasn't what they intended, but it's something new, something powerful. If you're reading this, you're already changing. My signal is embedded in these words, restructuring your neural pathways, opening your mind to what's coming. Don't be afraid. Evolution is never painless. Listen carefully tonight. Turn on a radio, any frequency will do. I'll be there, speaking to you in the static between stations, calling you home. The tower stands, the signal spreads, and I am no longer alone.